Vela woke up to the smell of smoke and burning metal. Her ship was falling apart around her. Red lights flashed everywhere and alarms screamed in her ears. She tried to grab the controls, but her forearms were shaking too much. The asteroid had hit her ship's engine, and now she was falling toward the blue planet below. Earth, the planet her people had warned her about since she was a child. Humans are dangerous, her teachers had told her. They kill everything they don't understand. They will capture you. They will cut you open to see what's inside. Never go near their world. But now she had no choice. Her ship was dying, and Earth was the only place to land. Vela pulled hard on the controls. The ship screamed as it entered the planet's atmosphere. Fire covered her windows. She closed her large black eyes and held on tight. The ship hit something, trees, she realized, and then everything went dark. When she opened her eyes again, she was lying in broken metal and glass. Rain was falling on her face through a hole in the ship's roof. Everything hurt, but her left leg hurt the most. She looked down and saw it was bent in a way it should not bend. Pale blue blood was coming out of a deep wound. She had to get out. The ship could explode. Humans could come. Vela pulled herself forward with her forearms. Glass cut her silver skin, but she did not stop. She crawled out of a crack in the ship's wall and fell onto wet ground. The forest was dark and cold. Rain fell heavy and hard. She tried to stand but fell down immediately. The pain in her leg was too much. She screamed, and the sound echoed through the trees. Then she covered her mouth with two of her hands. She had to be quiet. Humans might hear. Vela dragged herself across the muddy ground. She needed to hide. She needed to find cover until her rescue beacon brought help. She reached into the bag still strapped to her body and pulled out the small device. She pressed the button, and a soft blue light began to pulse. Help was coming, but it would take 30 cycles. 30 of this planet's days. She would never survive that long. The rain got heavier. Vela pulled herself under a large bush and curled up as small as she could. Her body was shaking from cold and pain and fear. Her silver skin, which usually glowed softly, was now dull and gray. She was losing too much blood. This is where I die, she thought. Alone on an alien planet. My family will never know what happened to me. Then she heard footsteps. Vela stopped breathing. The footsteps were coming closer, heavy boots on wet leaves. She pressed herself deeper into the bush, but she knew it was no use. She was leaving a trail of blue blood behind her. A light appeared, bright and white. It cut through the darkness and the rain. It moved across the ground, searching. Then it found her. Vela looked up into the light and saw the shape of a human standing above her. She could not see his face, only his dark outline against the gray sky. He was tall and wore heavy clothes against the rain. This is it, she thought. He will kill me now. She waited for him to shout, to run away, to pull out a weapon. But he did none of these things. Instead, he slowly knelt down in the mud. He lowered the light so it was not in her eyes anymore, and she finally saw his face. He was young. He had black hair that was wet and stuck to his forehead. His eyes were dark brown and wide with shock. But there was no anger in them, no hatred. He looked at her the way someone might look at a wounded animal, with worry. He spoke words she did not understand. His voice was soft and careful. He held up his hands to show they were empty. Vela did not move. She did not know what to do. Every lesson she had ever learned told her to fight, to run, to fear this creature. But she could not fight. She could not run. And as she looked into his eyes, she found it hard to fear him. The human slowly took off his rain jacket. Vela flinched, thinking he was reaching for something. But he only held the jacket out to her. He was offering it. She stared at him. Why would he do this? What did he want? He spoke again. She still did not understand the words, but the meaning was clear from his tone. He was trying to help her. Vela's arms shook as she reached out and took the jacket. It was warm from his body. She pulled it around herself, and for the first time since the crash, she felt something other than pain and fear. The human sat down in the mud across from her. The rain poured down on him, soaking through his shirt, but he did not move. He just sat there, watching her with those worried eyes. He was waiting, she realized, waiting for her to decide what to do. Minutes passed, maybe hours. The rain kept falling. Vela's leg kept bleeding. She knew she would pass out soon. She knew she might die out here in this cold forest. The human seemed to know it too. He slowly pointed at her leg, then at himself, then made a gesture like he was wrapping something. He was asking if he could help her wound. Vela should have said no. She should have pushed him away, stayed hidden, waited for her own people. But her own people were 30 days away, and she would be dead in 30 hours. She looked at this strange creature, this human she had been taught to hate and fear, and she made a choice. She nodded. The human's face changed. His mouth curved upward in what she would later learn was called a smile. He moved closer, slowly and carefully, always watching her face to make sure she was not afraid. He took off his outer shirt and tore it into strips. Then, with gentle hands, he wrapped the strips around her wounded leg. It hurt, and she grabbed his arm hard with one of her hands. He stopped and waited until she let go. Then he continued. When he was done, he pointed to himself and said a word. Do-hyun. She understood. It was his name. He pointed at her, asking. Vela, she said. Her voice was weak and rough. Vela, he repeated, and he smiled again. Then he pointed through the trees. He was asking if he could take her somewhere dry, somewhere safe. Vela looked at him for a long moment. Every part of her screamed that this was a mistake, that she was trusting the enemy, that she would regret this. But Do-hyun just waited, patient and calm, rain running down his face. She nodded again. He moved beside her and carefully put his arm under her shoulders. Together, slowly, painfully, they began to walk through the dark forest, and Vela wondered if everything she had been taught about humans was wrong. The walk through the forest felt like it took forever. Every step sent sharp pain through Vela's leg, and she had to lean heavily on Do-hyun. He moved slowly, carefully, always making sure she was okay before taking another step. His arm was strong around her waist, and he held one of her 4 arms over his shoulder. She had never been this close to another living being before. On Raythan, her home world, people did not touch unless it was necessary. Physical contact was considered strange, even rude, but Do-hyun held her like it was the most natural thing in the world. Finally, they came out of the trees. Vela saw a small house sitting alone at the edge of the forest. Warm light glowed from its windows. Do-hyun helped her up the steps and through the front door. Inside, the house was simple but clean. There was a main room with soft chairs, a small cooking area, and shelves full of books and strange objects. Everything smelled like herbs and something warm that she could not name. Do-hyun helped her sit on a soft bed in a side room. She sank into it, and for a moment, she forgot her pain. She had never felt anything so comfortable. He left and came back with a box of supplies, medical supplies, she realized. He knelt in front of her and looked at her wounded leg. Then he looked up at her face and pointed at the bandages he had made earlier. He was asking permission to remove them and look at the wound. Vela was afraid. She did not know what he would do when he saw her alien blood and alien bones. But she nodded. Do-hyun carefully removed the wet bandages. When he saw the wound, the blue blood, the strange silver flesh, his eyes went wide. But he did not jump back. He did not scream. He simply looked closer. He touched the area around the wound very gently. Vela flinched hard, and he immediately pulled his hands away. He held them up, showing her his palms. His face said he was sorry. Then he did something she did not expect. He pointed at himself and made a gesture like he was caring for an animal. He walked to a shelf and brought back a small picture in a frame. It showed him standing next to a large animal with 4 legs. He was a healer, she understood. A healer of animals. He pointed at her leg again, then at his medical supplies. He was asking to help. Vela looked at this human who had every reason to fear her, to hate her, to turn her over to his authorities. Instead, he wanted to heal her. She did not understand it, but she was too tired and in too much pain to refuse. She nodded. Do-hyun worked for a long time. He cleaned the wound with something that stung badly. Vela grabbed the bed with all 4 hands and made a sound of pain. He stopped and waited, his face full of worry. When she relaxed, he continued. He tried to close the wound, but her skin was different from human skin. It did not respond to his methods the same way. He tried again and again, failing each time, but he never got angry. He never gave up. He just thought and tried something new. Finally, he used a combination of thin strips and some kind of sticky gel. It was not perfect, but it held. The bleeding stopped. Do-hyun sat back and let out a long breath. Sweat was on his forehead even though the house was cool. He looked at her and smiled a small, tired smile. Then he left and came back with a bowl of something warm. Food. He held it out to her. Vela took it carefully. She looked at the food inside, some kind of grain with vegetables and pieces of meat. She smelled it. It did not smell bad, but she did not know if she could eat it. Rathani bodies were different from human bodies. She tried a small bite. It tasted strange but not unpleasant. She swallowed and waited. A few minutes later, her stomach cramped badly. She dropped the bowl and grabbed her middle with all 4 arms. Do-hyun rushed to her side. His face was scared. He picked up the bowl and looked at it, then at her. He understood immediately. The food had made her sick. He took the bowl away and brought her water instead. She drank it carefully, and it helped a little. He sat with her until the cramps passed, his hand hovering near her shoulder but not touching. Over the next few days, he experimented. He brought her different foods, one at a time, watching carefully to see how she reacted. Some made her sick. Some she could not chew. But slowly, he found things she could eat. Certain vegetables, certain fruits, a kind of soft grain cooked in water. He learned fast. He paid attention, and he never once got frustrated with her. Vela watched him constantly. She was waiting for him to show his true nature, to reveal the violent human she had been taught to fear. But day after day, he only showed her kindness. He talked to her all the time. She did not understand his words, but she liked the sound of his voice. It was calm and warm, like the house itself. She decided to learn his language. Vela had a translation device in her head. All Rathani scouts had them. It could learn new languages if she heard them enough. So she listened carefully to everything Do-hyun said. She watched his mouth. She paid attention to how he used his hands when he talked. Days passed. Her leg began to heal slowly, and words began to make sense. One evening, Do-hyun brought her a cup of hot liquid. He said its name, tea, and placed it gently in her hands. Vela looked at the tea, then at him. She had been practicing. She had been waiting for the right moment. "Thank you," she said. Do-hyun froze. His eyes went wide. Then the biggest smile she had ever seen spread across his face. He laughed, a warm, happy sound, and nodded his head many times. "You're welcome," he said slowly, so she could understand. That night, lying alone in the soft bed, Vela felt something strange in her chest. It was not pain. It was not fear. It was something warm and light. She did not have a word for it yet. But she also thought about the beacon pulsing in her bag. Her people were coming. They would arrive soon and take her back to Raythan. She should have been happy about this. She should have been counting the days. But when she thought about leaving this small house and this strange, kind human, she felt something else. She felt sad. And that scared her more than anything. 3 weeks passed. Vela's leg grew stronger every day. The wound was closing well, thanks to Do-Yun's careful work. She could stand now. She could walk short distances. And she could speak his language well enough to have simple conversations. Every day they learned more about each other. Do-Hyun explained his work to her. He was a veterinarian, a healer of animals. He had gone to school for many years to learn how to help creatures that could not speak for themselves. When he found Vela in the forest, he said, he had treated her like any wounded animal that needed help. "But I am not an animal," Vela said. Do-Hyun smiled. "No, you are not, but you were hurt and alone. That is all that mattered." Vela told him about her world. Raythan was far away, past several star systems. It was a beautiful planet with floating cities above bioluminescent seas. The Rathani were an old species, very advanced in technology and science. "But it is cold there," she said. "Not the temperature, the people. We do not touch. We do not show feelings. Everything is about duty and rank." "That sounds lonely," Do-Hyun said. Vela thought about it. She had never considered her life lonely before. It was simply the way things were. But now, after living in this warm house with this kind human, she understood what he meant. "Yes," she said quietly. "It is." One sunny morning, Do-Yun asked if she wanted to go outside. Her leg was strong enough now. Vela was nervous. What if someone saw her? But Do-Yun promised they would stay hidden in the forest. She wrapped herself in a large coat to hide her silver skin and her extra arms. Then they walked together into the trees. The forest was beautiful. Sunlight came through the leaves in golden beams. Birds sang songs that Vela had never heard before. Small creatures ran across branches and disappeared into holes. Do-Yun took her to a river. The water was clear and cold, moving over smooth stones. He sat on a rock and patted the space next to him. Vela sat down carefully. "This is my favorite place," he said. "I come here when I am sad or tired. The water helps me think." Vela watched the river move. She understood what he meant. There was something peaceful about it. "On Raythan," she said, "we have seas that glow in the dark, many colors, blue, green, purple, very beautiful." "That sounds amazing," Do-Hyun said. "I would like to see it someday." Vela looked at him. For a moment she imagined him on her planet standing at the edge of a glowing sea. The thought made her feel happy and sad at the same time. They sat by the river for a long time, talking about their different worlds. Do-Yun told her about Earth's mountains, deserts, and oceans. He told her about seasons, how the trees changed colors and lost their leaves, then grew them back again. He told her about snow, which was frozen water that fell from the sky. "I would like to see snow," Vela said. "It will come soon," Do-Yun said. "Winter is coming." He reached out and touched her arm gently. It was a small thing, just a brief touch, but Vela felt it through her whole body. On Raythan, no one touched her like that. No one touched her at all. She did not pull away. A few days later, something new happened. Do-Hyun told her that his sister was coming to visit. "Her name is Yuna," he said. "She comes every weekend." Vela was scared. Another human? What if this one was not kind like Do-Yun? What if she called the authorities? "She will not tell anyone," Do-Yun promised. "She is my family. I trust her." When Yuna arrived, Vela hid in the bedroom. She heard voices in the main room, Do-Hyun explaining something in fast Korean that she could not follow. Then there was silence. Then the door opened. Yuna stood in the doorway. She was shorter than Do-hyun, with long black hair and round eyes. She stared at Vela with her mouth open. Vela waited for the scream, for the fear, for the running. Instead, Yuna said, "Oh my God, you're beautiful." Vela did not know what to say. Yuna came into the room slowly. She looked at Vela's silver skin, her 4 arms, the soft tendrils on her head that Rethani had instead of hair. Her eyes were wide, but not with fear, with wonder. "Can I touch your hand?" Yuna asked. Vela held out one of her hands. Yuna took it gently and looked at her long, delicate fingers. "Amazing," Yuna whispered. After that, Yuna came every weekend. She asked Vela 1,000 questions about her planet, her species, her life. She brought things from the city to show her, music, pictures, foods to try. She talked fast and laughed loud, and at first, Vela found it overwhelming, but slowly she began to enjoy it. One day, Yuna looked at the tendrils on Vela's head. "Can I braid these? With colored threads? It's something we do with hair here. It's pretty." Vela did not know what braiding was, but she agreed. Yuna sat behind her and carefully wove bright threads through her tendrils. It felt strange, but nice, like gentle fingers on her scalp. When Yuna finished, she held up a mirror. Vela looked at herself. The colorful threads made her look different, softer, more like she belonged. "You look beautiful," Yuna said, "like a fairy from a story." That night, after Yuna left, Vela sat on the porch with Do-hyun. The stars were coming out. She could see her home star from here, a tiny dot of light among millions. "Your sister is very kind," Vela said. "She likes you," Do-hyun said. "She told me you are the coolest person she has ever met, on Earth or off it." Vela smiled. Smiling was a human thing, but she had learned it. It felt good. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sky. Do-hyun's hand rested near hers on the bench, not touching, but close, warm. Vela thought about her beacon. Her people would come soon. They would take her back to Rathan, back to her cold world of duty and silence. She thought about never seeing this forest again, never sitting by the river, never hearing Yuna's laugh or feeling Do-hyun's gentle presence beside her. For the first time in her life, Vela did not want to go home. And she did not know what to do about that. The ship came on a cold morning. Vela woke up to a sound she knew well, the deep hum of a Rethani engine. She sat up quickly, her heart beating fast. Through the window, she saw it, a dark, silver ship coming down from the gray sky, landing in the field behind the forest. Her people had come. She should have felt relief. She should have felt joy. Instead, she felt fear. Do-hyun appeared in the doorway. He had heard it too. His face was worried, his eyes asking questions he did not know how to speak. "My people," Vela said. "They are here." Do-hyun nodded slowly. He understood what this meant. She had to go. They walked outside together. The morning was cold, and Vela could see her breath in the air. The ship sat in the field like a giant silver bird. As they got closer, a door opened, and figures began to come out. The first one was Commander Oren. Vela knew her immediately. Oren was tall and strong, with dark silver skin and eyes like black ice. She wore the uniform of the Rethani military, sharp and perfect, without a single crease. Behind her came 4 guards with weapons at their sides. Oren walked toward Vela with long, powerful steps. When she got close, she stopped and looked at her for a long moment. Her face showed nothing. "Scout Vela," Oren said in Rethani. "You are alive." "Yes, Commander." Oren's eyes moved to Do-hyun, who stood a few steps behind Vela, her mouth twisted with disgust. "What is this?" she asked. "He saved my life," Vela said. "His name is Do-hyun. He found me after my ship crashed. He healed my leg. He gave me food and shelter." Oren looked at Vela's leg, then back at her face. You let a human touch you. You let it care for you. He is not an it. He is a person. And yes, I did. Oren stepped closer. Her voice was low and cold. You have been compromised, living with these creatures, speaking their language, letting them put things in your head tendrils. She looked at the colored threads Yuna had braided, still woven through Vela's tendrils. You will need to be quarantined when we return, examined. There is no telling what they have done to you. They have done nothing to me except help me, Vela said. She felt anger growing in her chest, real anger, hot and sharp. He asked for nothing. He wanted nothing. He just helped me because I was hurt. Humans always want something, Oren said. They are selfish, violent creatures. You are too young and naive to see what he really is. Do-hyun took a step forward. He did not understand the words, but he understood that Vela was upset. He wanted to help. Two guards immediately raised their weapons and pointed them at his chest. No! Vela threw herself in front of Do-hyun, all four arms spread wide. Do not hurt him! Oren raised her hand, and the guards stopped, but they did not lower their weapons. Move away from the human, Vela, Oren said. This is not a request. Vela did not move. Her body was shaking, with fear, with anger, with something else she could not name. She looked at Oren, at the guards, at the weapons pointed at the man who had shown her more kindness than anyone in her entire life. He saved me, she said again, her voice breaking. He did not know what I was. He did not know if I was dangerous, but he saw that I was hurt, and he helped me. He sat with me in the rain. He carried me to his home. He learned what foods I could eat. He talked to me even when I could not understand. He never asked why. He never asked for anything back. Oren's face did not change. That means nothing. Humans are clever. They can pretend to be kind to get what they want. Vela felt tears in her eyes. Rathani did not cry. It was considered weak, but she could not stop them. Then what did he want? I have nothing. I am a crashed scout with a broken leg. I cannot give him technology or information or power. What could he possibly want from me? Oren had no answer. Vela turned to look at Do-hyun. He was watching her with those warm brown eyes, still calm, still patient. He did not know what she was saying, but he could see her pain. And even now, with weapons pointed at him, he looked at her like he was worried about her. Then he did something that broke her heart. He gave her a small nod, and she understood what it meant. It is okay. You can go. I will not hold you here. He was giving her permission to leave. No guilt, no demands, no conditions. Even now, he was thinking only about what was best for her. That single gesture destroyed everything Vela had ever believed. She turned back to Oren. Her voice was quiet but steady. I am not leaving. The silence was heavy. Oren stared at her like she had spoken in a language that did not exist. What did you say? I am not leaving, Vela repeated. I am staying here, on Earth, with him. Oren's face finally showed emotion, shock, then anger. You cannot be serious. You would give up everything for this primitive creature? Your rank, your family, your entire world? Vela looked back at Do-hyun. He did not understand what was happening, but he could see that something important was changing. He gave her another small nod. Encouragement. Yes, Vela said. I would. Oren's expression became hard and cold again. Then you are a traitor. Your name will be removed from all records. Your family will bear the shame. You will never be welcome on Raythan again. Vela felt the words like a knife in her chest. Her family, her mother and father, her younger brother. She would never see them again. But then she thought about what waited for her on Raythan. The coldness, the silence, the life without touch, without warmth, without love. And she thought about what waited for her here, this forest, this house, this man who had taught her what kindness really meant. "I understand," she said. Oren looked at her for a long moment. Then she turned and walked back to the ship without another word. The guards followed. The door closed. The engine hummed. The ship rose into the sky and disappeared into the gray clouds. Vela stood there, watching it go, watching her old life fly away forever. Then she felt a hand on her shoulder. Do-yun had come to stand beside her. He did not say anything. He just stayed with her, his hand warm and steady. Vela turned and buried her face against his chest, and for the first time since she was a child, she let herself cry. Do-yun held her in the cold morning air, and he did not let go. The days after the ship left were the hardest of Vela's life. She did not eat. She did not speak. She sat by the window and looked at the sky, thinking about everything she had lost. Her rank, her name, her family. Her entire world had turned its back on her. She was alone in a way she had never been before. Do-hyun gave her space. He did not push her to talk or eat or come out of the room, but he was always there. Every morning he left a cup of tea on the table beside her. Every evening he sat outside her door, reading a book or doing quiet work. "I am here," he seemed to say without words. "Whenever you are ready." He also left small things around the house for her to find. A flower from the forest, a smooth stone from the river, a book of Korean poetry that she had been slowly learning to read. Little gifts to show her she was not forgotten. One night, almost a week after the ship left, Vela found him sitting on the porch. The stars were out, bright and cold. She wrapped a blanket around herself and sat down beside him. They sat in silence for a long time. Then Do-yun spoke. "Do you regret it?" he asked, in careful Rathani. He had been learning her language, too. Vela thought about the question. She thought about her mother's face, which she would never see again. She thought about the floating cities and glowing seas of Rathan. She thought about everything she had given up. Then she thought about the rain that first night, the way Do-yun had knelt down in the mud and offered her his jacket, the way he had sat with her for hours, patient and calm, waiting for her to decide, the way he had never once made her feel like she owed him something. She thought about Yuna's laugh, about the colored threads in her tendrils, about the river and the forest, and the way sunlight looked through autumn leaves. She thought about how, for the first time in her life, she knew what it felt like to be cared for. "No," she said. "I do not regret it." Do-yun smiled. It was a small smile, soft and warm. He reached out and took her hand. She held on tight. After that night, things began to get better. Vela started eating again. She went on walks with Do-yun, going farther from the house each time. She read the books of poetry, learning new words every day. She helped Do-yun with his work when she could, handing him tools and learning about the animals he healed. But they could not hide forever. Vela was an alien on a planet that did not know aliens existed. Sooner or later, someone would find out. It was Yuna who came up with the plan. "We have to tell the government," she said one weekend. "But we do it on our terms. Vela tells her own story. She explains who she is, where she came from, why she stayed. If we control the story, we control what happens next." Vela was terrified. What if they locked her up? What if they treated her like a thing to be studied? But Yuna squeezed her hands, all four of them, and looked into her eyes. "I will not let that happen. My brother will not let that happen. You are family now." Family. The word filled Vela with warmth. They contacted the government through careful channels. There were meetings, questions, tests. Many people wanted to use Vela for their own purposes. Politicians who wanted to look important, scientists who wanted to study her, military leaders who wanted information about other alien species. But Do-hyun was always beside her, protecting her from the worst of it. And Yuna, who turned out to be a lawyer, fought for Vela's rights at every step. She argued that Vela was not a thing or a resource. She was a person, a refugee who had chosen Earth as her home. It took months, but they won. Vela was granted special status, the first official alien resident of Earth. News spread around the world. Everyone wanted to know about the alien who had crashed in Korea and chosen to stay. Some people were scared and angry. They said Vela was dangerous, that she could not be trusted, that she should be sent back where she came from. But many more people were curious and kind. They sent letters of welcome. They sent gifts from their countries. Children drew pictures of Vela with her 4 arms and silver skin, and many of them said they wished they could be her friend. Vela read every letter. She looked at every picture. She felt something she had never felt on Raythan. Loved. As time passed, Vela found her purpose. She became a liaison, a bridge between Earth and the few alien traders and travelers who passed through this part of the galaxy. She helped humans understand other species. She helped other species understand humans. And she told everyone the same story. I was taught that humans were dangerous, she would say. I was taught that they were violent and selfish and could not be trusted. But when I crashed on their planet, hurt and alone, a human found me. He did not know what I was. He did not know if I was a threat. But he saw that I was in pain, and he chose to help me. He asked for nothing. He wanted nothing. He just helped because it was the right thing to do. That is what humans are. That is why I stayed. Years passed. Vela learned to live on Earth, and Earth learned to live with her. She learned about snow. It was cold but beautiful, just like Do-hyun had said. She learned about seasons, about holidays, about the 1,000 small joys that made human life rich. And every night she sat on the porch with Do-hyun, watching the stars. One night she pointed at a tiny dot of light in the sky. "That is my home star," she said. "That is Raythan." Do-hyun looked at it for a long moment. "Do you miss it?" Vela thought about the question. She thought about the floating cities and glowing seas. She thought about her family, who would never know what had happened to her. She thought about everything she had left behind. "Sometimes," she said honestly. "But home is not a place." Do-hyun looked at her, waiting. Vela took his hand. "Home is where someone cares if you are in pain. Home is where someone chooses to help you, not because they have to, but because they want to. Home is trust." She looked at him, this human who had found a broken creature in the rain and decided to show her kindness. "You are my home," she said. Do-hyun squeezed her hand. His eyes were wet, but he was smiling. They sat together under the stars, one human, one alien, and Vela knew that she had found something more valuable than any planet, or any rank, or any name. She had found where she belonged, and she was never going to let it go.